Hi, it's Sabrina. Join me with a lineup of incredible experts as we inspire you.
It's you transcending
to redesign your life. I love this, one small change at a time. This is the Sabrina Soto Show. Come on in. Welcome to my home and the Sabrina Soto Show. Today's intention is to nourish our whole mind, body, and spirit, and we have the most incredible experts here today. We have plant-based chef Ingrid Clay, who's also a fitness trainer. We have spiritual leader Danny Morell. But first, we have psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Storage to talk about how we can optimize our brain health. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. I want to dive in. You are all about brain health. Unfortunately, it's top of mind, no pun intended, for me now because I just found out that I have the double gene of, I believe it's APOE4. I was told that I will get Alzheimer's and dementia. Is that true?
That's absolutely not true. Number one, mental health is brain health, but number two is you're not stuck with the brain you have. So
Okay.
It is true that having the APOE4 gene increases risk, but here's the problem, that's risk. That doesn't mean destiny, right? So if you have two copies like you do, it doesn't mean you're destined to have Alzheimer's disease, and there's things you can do about it now. This is a problem with medicine. Historically, the way it's practiced is you get that report and then it's like, okay, good luck, on your way.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Which is awful, and it causes so much anxiety in people when in reality there are things we could actively be doing every single day to mitigate that risk.
How does the brain affect you physically? What things can happen to your body when your brain starts to break down?
The brain controls absolutely everything. So the brain is the most miraculous complex organ in our body, and that's what's going on up here. So it's literally controlling every thought, every emotion, our goals, our physical health. It's controlling how our heart is beating, how we're breathing, our blood pressure. I mean, all of these things come back to brain health. So if the health of our brain is not on point, how can we be healthy, period?
What sort of foods or what supplements should we be looking at in order to optimize brain health?
The best type of diet for brain health is a Mediterranean style diet that leans paleo. So what I tell people is there's a handful of things to avoid, and then there's a few things to really try to optimize. The things you're trying to avoid are any types of foods that increase inflammation in the brain.
Which are?
Refined sugar.
Okay.
Okay, refined sugar, we all know sugar's not good for us, but it turns out it's really, really not good for our brain. Processed foods, so if you read the label and you can't pronounce what's in it, or it's a really long list, or you couldn't buy one of those ingredients on its own at the same grocery store.
Oh, I like that tip. If you can't buy the ingredient on its own, you shouldn't be eating that food.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also gluten, actually, especially in the US. Gluten can be very, very inflammatory the way it's been grown over centuries.
So gluten, sugar, and processed foods. What do you think's worse for your body, sugar or alcohol?
Oh, that's like picking, would I rather be strangled or suffocated? I think both are not good for your brain. And even a little bit of alcohol turns out to not be a brain healthy thing. I think
Right.
The wine industry for a long time propagated that a glass of red wine at night is a good idea, but alcohol, ethanol in and of itself,
Is
there's
a poison.
no real brain healthy amount.
So you don't drink at all?
I rarely drink.
Rarely. It just seems like eliminating that completely out of their lives is almost impossible.
It can feel really, really hard, and I'm not an extremist when it comes to diet. I think it's really important to be conscious about the decisions we're making. It's a nice idea to ask yourself before anything, is this good for my brain or bad for my brain, just as a simple exercise.
What are the things that we could be incorporating into our lives, either supplements or foods, to help our brain optimize?
Lean proteins, right? So assuming
Salmon?
someone's not vegetarian or vegan, yeah, salmon. Wild-caught salmon is loaded with omega-3s. Omega-3s are so important for brain health. You think about things like chicken, you think about turkey, eggs, plant-based proteins, avocados. You have some avocados on the tray here. Avocados are loaded with healthy fats,
Okay.
which support brain health. You think about things like nuts, seeds. The only two oils that I really recommend people using are avocado oil for high temperature and olive oil for low temperature. Berries are a great example of a brain healthy food loaded with antioxidants, vitamin C that supports good brain health. Melons also are a really, really good option. Oranges that you have there, great option, loaded with vitamin C that prevents cognitive decline. Pomegranate loaded with polyphenols, which also reduce oxidative stress in the brain and help maintain brain health. And then in terms of vegetables, really you're not gonna go wrong with anything.
Any of them.
I mean, broccoli is, if I had to pick one vegetable, I would go broccoli just because it's loaded with many of the essential vitamins and minerals that we need for our healthy brain.
I have heard anything between, some people don't need as much sleep, and then some people you're supposed to get 8 to 9 hours. I mean, that's just not possible for a lot of people. So how does the lack of sleep attribute to brain damage?
Well, interestingly, sleep is a very active process for our brain. It's not just that our brain turns off. Actually, it's cleaning itself.
So how many hours are we looking at?
Even more important than hours is quality of sleep. So I think on average, somewhere between 7 or 8 hours is a nice sweet spot for most people. Tips that I tell people for sleep is wake up the same time every day, no matter what, and get sun on your face. Wake up time is even more important than when you go to bed.
Why?
It sets your circadian rhythm for the next 24 hours.
But what if it's the weekend and I want to sleep in?
You'll pay for it later. If you ever deviate from the rhythm, the rule of thumb is however much sleep you've missed, you need to overcompensate the next night by about 50% of the amount of sleep you missed. So for
Only
example,
50%, I like this.
50%, yeah.
Okay.
So for example, if you're trying to get 8 hours a night, one night you only get 2, you're at a deficit of 6, so the next night you want to try to get 3 extra hours if possible. Now that might not be possible and you might accumulate that deficit over time.
Yeah.
But it's a question of what am I prioritizing in my life. So wake up time is really important. The other one is only use the bed for sleep or romantic activity. That's it.
Romantic activity? What are you, 80? You are the expert in this field. So sort of just walk me through a typical day for you.
There's movement almost every day.
Okay.
I try to get at least 20 minutes of high intensity cardio most days out of the week. And that has the best data for supporting brain health.
So even if somebody is eating the paleo Mediterranean diet, all of the good foods, you still recommend a vitamin D?
Vitamin D for sure, because it's really, really hard to get vitamin D just from food alone. Food is not as nutrient dense as it once was. And so it probably behooves us to take a multivitamin. You opened by talking about the APOE4 gene mutation. I think for you, there are some specific brain supplements that would be helpful to take. Things like ginkgo, things like huperzine, things like N-acetylcysteine.
I think that I've learned a lot from our conversation. I know our viewers have learned a lot. So the top 3, exercise,
Yes,
foods,
yes,
and sleep.
absolutely.
Okay.
And ultimately, we're not stuck with the brain we have.
No matter what.
No matter what. And we've proven this in our research. You can have someone do a scan of their brain at one point and have them redo that scan 6 months, 12 months later, and you can see a very different looking brain. So we do have a lot more control than we realize.
That gives me so much hope. Thank you so much.